Good morning, sir. Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Can I start?
You want to start now?
Can I proceed? Okay. Okay. I'm still waiting. I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's
So
okay.
let's start at 3:10. Yeah, 3:10 p.m.
Okay.
Because I think more is coming. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully my voice is clear because I think there is a bit of lagging in terms of my internet because it's afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Jubu for accepting my invitation. So this is a second session for postgraduate sharing session. So we are going to have like a little bit of insights about how Dr. Jubu have graduated on time and how he has published a lot of papers as well, I think 12, and also how to respond to the editors or reviewers when you are sending your papers for publication. So without further ado, Dr. Jubu, you want to start now?
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm
all
ready
right. So can start. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be invited, to be accepted to make this presentation to fellow PhD students of the School of Physics. The presentation here doesn't mean I know everything, but I think it's a forum organized for knowledge sharing and skills sharing to encourage one another in our school and career. So today I'm making a presentation on the topic graduate on time and publish in high impact journals productively. It is supposed that all candidates who enroll for a PhD program wish to graduate on time so they can have a career or gain more relevance in the academic, industrial, or management sector of society. Yet, completing a PhD degree program on time is a problem to many students due to several limiting factors, some which the students can have control to ensure timely graduation. But there are some other factors which the student might not have control, such as long queues of samples for analysis due to overstretched facilities. Such can delay results coming out of the laboratory for students to go on with their reports. So in this talk, we shall consider only the factors the student can have control to ensure timely graduation. And the following can be addressed to ensure timely graduation. One, by taking the decision to graduate on time. So decision is important. You must take the decision to graduate on time. Secondly, the student must be hardworking. The student must be smart. The student must stay focused to the research program and not share his time. He should not pay undivided attention. And five, the student is proposed to change whatever needs replacement. Whatever that is leading to the student late graduation, the student should make ways to change it. So we consider the key number one to ensure timely graduation. That is graduating on time based on a decision. To graduate on time is a decision the student must make from the beginning, from the time of registration for a PhD program. A decision can be defined as an act of firmness or final determination with which a mission is accomplished. Decisions are a way of life. It determines how we get things done. Work projects may require group decision, but most of our daily work life and personal life decisions are made independently, just like to graduate on time, because a PhD is a personal journey. So the student must personally take the decision and not wait for anyone to force him or her to take that decision to graduate on time. The student can be forced or coerced into enlisting for a PhD program, but the decision to graduate on time is personal because the sponsor or the supervisor cannot force you to graduate on time. It's based on your personal decision and the input you require to make to ensure timely graduation. So the decision to graduate on time are determination to achieve it. It is an important resolution. If you take the decision and you are determined, then it is possible you can graduate on time. The second point, graduation on time based on hard work. So when you take the decision to graduate on time and you are determined to achieve this goal-oriented decision, you would experience a natural force, that is a willpower, constantly pushing you to work. If a person personally takes a decision to achieve a thing, there is this pressure in his subconscious mind that will keep pushing him or her on the track to achieve what he needs to achieve within the time he or she has set. The student must be hardworking and should not procrastinate. If you take the decision, then you should know that procrastination is not allowed in your study routine or your research routine. And working extra hours cannot be a burden when you are motivated and are passionate about your decision to graduate on time. When you are passionate about your research, then hard work will not be a problem anymore. It will be a motivation to you. The virtues of hard work are patience. It can be frustrating when good results are not forthcoming from our laboratory work. Experimental work is not something that is just straightforward. Sometimes one can work in the laboratory for weeks without getting the headway for what it's looking for. So one needs patience. Even though you are determined to graduate on time, patience is required for you to be able to get into the right track to begin to get good results. Because if you just graduate on time, the student will want to be in a haste. He will be wanting to achieve a higher speed. So if you're not patient, you can be frustrated and be demoralized along the way. But it means that you remain steadfast and focused and maintain the tempo in the research. And then the perseverance is important. You must be self-motivated to maintain a steady pace in the research, despite the encumbrances, failures, and stress encountered. A conscious decision never give up. It must achieve what you have said to achieve. The third point, graduate on time by being smart. Most times hard work alone may not yield results. One needs to be smart to be able to graduate on time. You may need to work smartly because there's always a smart way of doing something. There are many routes to a city, but there is a shortcut. You may just need to develop the capacity for inventive and creative thought and quick understanding in your research routine. Generally, students are advised to read of published articles to identify a research gap before they can start their experimental work. The essence of being encouraged to read a lot of literature work relating to your work is to identify the research methodology and even the gap so that you can propose a good problem statement. But by the time, sometimes when you adapt a particular methodology from literature, you will discover that during the experimental, the practical aspect of your work, the method may not yield the result that you expected. This could be due to the fact that maybe the literature reviews, the literature you review, some of the authors omitted some important parameters, which if you follow their methods, you may not be able to get the result you're looking for. Or it could be that you do not really understand the methodology the literature have reported, which you will not adapt to do your experiment. Or it could be that your apparatus have a slight difference from the one the other authors have reported in their work. In this method, in this aspect, it's recommended that to graduate on time and to start getting results early. It is proposed that the student should modify the procedures that he or she have read from the literatures so as to start getting results on time. You know, in my case, my supervisor allowed me to start work immediately after my PhD registration. Sometimes some supervisor will ask the student to read for 6 months, sometimes even 9 months. So by the time they have read a lot of literature and have identified the research method, they have wasted time already. So graduating on time is becoming a defeat, already. But after reading a lot of literature, yes, they have gathered a lot of knowledge about the work they are going to do, but they have wasted a lot of time already. Now, after implementing those methods they have read in literature, they'll discover that yet the results are not coming because there's a difference between the theoretical aspect and the experimental aspect. After reading the procedures from literature, you discover that after implementing them in your practical laboratory work, you may not be getting the result. So when you start, at least like 2 months after your PhD registration and few literature review, as you are doing the experiment and reading the literature concurrently, it can fasten the process of getting results to start writing papers to attain quick or timely graduation. There was a student very, very close to me. His supervisor asked him to read for at least 6 months. By the time he started laboratory work, I had already gotten some results and drafted papers and sent for review already. He complained that, oh, if he had started the same time with me, maybe he would have sent papers also. So it took him, after the 6 months of ritual review, it took him like 3 months before he could start getting anything meaningful from the experimental work. Because there is a large gap between the literature you are reviewing and the practical aspect. He had to still modify some of the methodology he learned from the other literature to start getting results. At this point, I had already gotten many results and published papers and sent papers for review. And I think like 2 were already accepted at my 6 months of PhD registration because I started experimental work immediately at 2 months after registration. We consider graduating on time via undivided attention. You know, when we share our time, we may not really have focus for a thing we are doing. There's a time for everything. When you pay attention to a particular thing, no matter how difficult the issue is, naturally ideas will begin to come because it has entered your subconscious mind as you pay attention to it. But when you share your energy, you will not be enhanced. The efficiency will not be there. The natural ideas will not be coming anymore. But when you are obsessed about the research work, definitely ideas will begin to come, even though it is difficult. Or maybe you're not seeing the way forward. But as you are thinking over it over and there, ideas will be coming that you'll be trying here and there, and then something will start coming up. Sometimes some people will prefer to be working and studying. This can defeat graduating on time I know a few friends of mine who enrolled for the graduate assistance scheme, financial scheme at USM. The study, the research, the graduate assistant research scheme was sharing their time, which they had to put in for their research work. Why were they involved in the graduate assistant financial support scheme? Because they were self-sponsored students and they wanted to have a kind of income that can support their living expenses. And after 1 year, they discovered that they couldn't go find their research because the graduate assistant scheme was taking up their time. So it is encouraged that you focus on the research rather than get involved in the work for a pay to support your finances, except you are constrained under financial constraint. Sometimes, if you bring for foreign students or international students, it's better to not come with the family, because when you are living the family life and the study life, you are sharing the time already. This might defeat graduating on time. The fifth point to ensure to graduate on time is changing whatever needs a replacement. It is proposed that sometimes sometimes if somebody, some supervisors definitely just want their students not to graduate on time. So maybe it's because they have had that experience with their supervisors during their time. So they are determined that no, their student must do 4 years, 5 years. So no matter how fast you are going, they will find a way to slow you down. Maybe they're not reading your manuscript on time and giving you feedback for improvement to submit, or they're not giving the necessary support. In such a case, it is good to even apply for change of supervisor. But if you are fortunate to have a supervisor that is hardworking and that is supporting, reading your manuscript on time and releasing to you to make the necessary improvement for submission, then this can help you graduate on time. But in a case whereby you see a supervisor being the reason you cannot graduate on time, it is proposed that you apply for change, but in a wise manner. In a wise manner. I know a friend of mine, he came for theoretical physics. He discovered that doing the theoretical physics will not help him graduate on time. He changed to material science. And now he has already submitted thesis. He's about to do his final viva. He has done pre-viva already. But if he was on that, he was in that theoretical physics, he wouldn't have been able to finish drafting thesis and have done pre-viva. Because he was an international student and wanted to graduate on time to reunite with his family. So it is proposed that even you can change the topic immediately, so that you don't wait on it and maybe work on the same topic for 2 years, then you discover you cannot do the work, then you are changing. So inside of us, we know what we can do and what we cannot do. So if you see a work being the type that can delay you, it is proposed that you change the topic. If the supervisor, you try to change him or her, but wiseness matter, you seek his consent or her consent, stating convincing reasons why. You want to graduate on time, you are self-sponsor or whatever, you are giving time limit in your place of work, then you explain your reasons, and then you approach a new supervisor, or you can change the topic, the material you are studying, or the compound, even the research method, or the application. In my case, my application, I did 2 applications, photo detection and water splitting for hydrogen production. I discovered that the water splitting was working better for me. So although I had done 2 applications, but I only reported 1, which worked better for me. This is because I wanted to graduate on time. And I was fortunate to have a supervisor that is so fast, Dr. Yang. He never kept my manuscript for more than a week without commenting and sending it to me. Even my thesis, it took him just less than a month to finish reading the whole thesis. He made the necessary input to help me. But another student, which I know, his thesis was released to him. We finished drafting thesis the same day. Then his own came like 8 months after. And then he could not graduate on time. Number 6 point, taking instruction from the supervisor. This is important to graduate on time. You should not feel you know more than a supervisor, no matter how intelligent or smart you think you can be. Because a supervisor has experience that you don't have. They have been in the research and writing for a long time. So if you are not obeying their instruction, they may not give you the support you need. So it is good that you are submissive, you are respectful to the supervisor, and you let them know your condition. You want to graduate on time, explain to the supervisor, and then show hard work. Be always doing something. Let the supervisor know that you're working hard. And then when you're finding hitches or difficulty, the supervisor will be willing to assist or to give you a hint on how to move forward. But if you're not submissive and you are not doing what the supervisor asks you to do, then you may find difficulties. So it is important that you are submissive and you take instructions strictly from a supervisor. This will help you graduate on time. Because if a supervisor says you cannot graduate on time, there is nothing you can do. He's the one that will present you forward for graduation, he or she. So you must be submissive and you must take instruction. You have to be wise and careful in having your supervisors. It is very, very important. Now, how to publish many articles or productive production of your research work. It is possible you can graduate at time but not have high productivity. Maybe you can just publish the minimum required number of papers, which is 2. But when you publish high number of papers, even the viva becomes much easier when your examiners see many publications in your draft thesis. And it is possible you can publish up to 10 papers, even 12, because I was able to publish up to 12. And this was possible because of the support from a supervisor. He always read my manuscript quickly and returned to me for corrections to enhance its quality. Some students who are mediocre will just say, no, I only need 2 papers. No, because if you publish many papers, it is an advantage for you, like I've said earlier, in your viva. Although the examiners are not coming to examine your publications, it is your thesis that was given to them. So it is possible you can have many number of publications in high impact journals, but you may not be able to succeed in your viva if you solely depend on your publications. So paying attention to the thesis writing is very, very important also, because that is the aspect I'm going to assess you. But when they see many publications in high impact journal, then the work becomes less for you. They will not bother you much during the defense, rather than just helping to improve the thesis report, because there's a difference between thesis writing and paper writing. And publishing many papers is a personal decision which you must take, because it is not easy. It is a strenuous exercise.
Dr. Jubu, are you there? I can hear him, but I'm not sure whether it's my line.
I almost had 20 hours as just want, because most time Q1 journals are looking for many results or data in your work. You could have primary data, but then you must have the skill to produce a lot of secondary data for Q1 journals to accept your work. And if you don't have high novelty, then it is required that you present enough data in your work that makes it attractive and to make the manuscript to have substance. So by the time you condense all your data in one paper, then you are limiting your number of publications. And then the paper becomes too lengthy again, which can affect you. I hope the signal is clear. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, listening.
Okay. Okay, so let me go further. Now, if you condense all your data in one paper, and then the manuscript becomes too long. You can hear me?
Yes, no problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So if you condense all your manuscript, your data in one paper, it becomes too long. And then you'll be repeating many things, and that can prompt rejection of your manuscript. Secondly, your work must have high novelty for you to publish in the Q1. But it all depends on how you are able to present the little contribution to knowledge you have. If there's no high novelty, but at least you have contribution to knowledge that is able to extend the literature, then you must be smart in presenting this little contribution to knowledge in a smart and attractive way. This contribution to knowledge might come from the methodology or the procedure of your work. It could be that you are deviated slightly from literature, from a particular procedure used to make the material you have prepared. Or this can come even from the structure of the surface morphology of your samples, even from the structural. There was a time I was able to even use a little novelty to publish, just from the structural analysis. The most dominant growth direction I achieved was different from that which was reported in literature. So you see, this is very little, but it depends on how smart you are able to present it. And then the supervisor is instrumental here too, because you are just a beginner, and then he's supposed to guide you. So if you are submissive and respectful, he can guide you no matter how little the contribution knowledge is. He can be able to present smartly and attractively for acceptance. No, writing is a skill. So the earlier you start drafting manuscript during your PhD research, registration is important. The first time I wrote my paper, it was so funny. Sure, every time I look at that draft manuscript, I laugh. My sponsor told me, no, he knows. So he told me he knows that this paper will be rejected, but he wants me to have the, the experience. If he doesn't submit it, I will feel he's just being difficult and wants to delay me. It was rejected at the editor's table directly for 3 times. Yes, but today I see the reason why he says it's important for me to have this experience. Because if he just stops it here, I will not understand being new in the system, in the writing, in the scientific writing style. Because I did not know how to report the work smartly in a scientific way. But because I started writing my manuscript early enough, his input and his comments were helping me to learn fast. So before 9 months could finish, I was already good. So the subsequent papers of writing were accepted, while the first one I drafted after my PhD session was still there. I was still improving it. But because I started writing early, it helped me. So it is better to start the lab work early enough and then start drafting manuscript early enough. The earlier rejections you are getting and the earlier comments you are getting from supervisor and the comments from reviewers will help you to learn faster as a beginner or as an upcoming researcher. Because in PhD, it's expected that this will be your first time to face the real scientific writing. And it's at this point that you develop the skill and the expertise. So writing on time is very important because it will make you to learn fast than delay and start writing papers after a year, after you have reviewed literature for more than 6 or 8 months. Then it's at that time you start learning again, and then that will be prolonging the issue. So you may graduate on time, but your number of publications may be less. Managing rejected manuscript. Yes, everyone suffers rejection. Even my last paper was rejected, I think twice or so. It was published in the Q1 journal. But my supervisor always encouraged me that I should not give up. When you are rejected, don't be discouraged. Be resilient. Make the corrections using the reviewer's comments, improve the manuscript, and send it to another journal. Don't be demoralized. Send to another journal. And sometimes you might be discouraged to send it to a low-impact journal because you feel since the high-impact journal has rejected your work, you should just send to a low-impact journal just to publish and just have many publications. No. The impact of the journal is also very important for you. And even the ranking of the university. High-impact publications are important for ranking of the university, and even very important for you to have a postdoc position elsewhere and for your reputation. So even if you are rejected by a high-impact journal, still make correction and send to another high-impact journal. Maybe you want a Q1 journal. still send it to another one. There are many journals. By the time you keep improving the quality of the work by using the reviewer's comment, the manuscript is coming up better and better. And when you send to another Q1 journal, it will be accepted. So never give up and say, no, let me just get a minimum number of papers and move on for graduation. But never be involved in the sharp practice of sending one manuscript to more than 2 journals. Sometimes students will want to send a particular manuscript to 2 journals to ensure they publish it quickly to graduate on time. Thank God for University of Science Malaysia, where supervisors most times submit for students. I never submitted for myself because if you leave the student alone, he or she might be tempted because he or she wants to graduate on time and to have many publications. Because submitting more than 1 manuscript to more than 2 journals at a time can attract a punitive action if this is discovered. Now, we handle the issue of responding to reviewers. It is almost impossible for a publication for your manuscript to return to you without comment from reviewers or the editor for you to make some improvements. At least there will be a typographical error somewhere or an issue somewhere that will be pointed out for you to improve the manuscript. So manuscript most time will come with a comment. Like my last manuscript, only 1 reviewer, others just commented, short comment, interesting work. But a particular reviewer came with a comment, not serious ones, was say enlarge the figure, make this in this, put this, there's a typographical error here. You know, they were just basic comment, but there must be a comment. And so sometimes a reviewer, your manuscript attracts a comment that is challenging. Sometimes it could be to test you. Sometimes the comment from the reviewer can be irritating. But you should compose yourself and answer it correctly and straightforward. Because requesting for revision of a manuscript means that your paper is almost being accepted. A reviewer or editor has seen substance in that paper and is giving you a second chance for you to improve the work, for the work to be accepted. Otherwise, it will be rejected straightforward and no permission for second revision. There was a time I responded to a particular paper 6 times because what I reported was a bit deviated from what is
Dr. Jubu, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I hear you now.
I think there is because your voice is cracking. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I couldn't really hear you.
Oh.
It's clear for me.
How about everyone else?
It's clear.
So
It's
okay,
clear.
so that okay, so means like it's my line. Okay, all right.
It's clear.
Sorry, you can proceed.
Okay. So when responding to reviewers, be smart to incorporate the response into the manuscript if the need arises. It's not every comment that needs to make change into the original manuscript. Some responses are just to be documented in the reviewer's document. And all the responses to the various reviewers must be included in one file, in one document, so that all of them can have access to the other comments of the other reviewers and the various responses. So now when you made the input into the manuscript, try to highlight the portion of the manuscript you have made change. It can be in yellow color. And then you quote the page, the line number, and the section where you have made a change on the comment, at the end of the comment. And remember, a reviewer was not paid to review your manuscript. So it is good that you show them some respect. And it's good to start a response to a particular comment or question by appreciating the reviewer and even end it with a thank you, because they have entered into the team of the work to improve your manuscript so that it can have a better quality. So it is good that you respect them, even if the comments are so irritating. Now, some comments can come to challenge you, to test whether you really know what you're doing. Sometimes there was a time I was asked by a reviewer, you prepare your work at 800 degrees Celsius. What will happen if you prepare the samples at 1000 degrees? You know, such a comment does not fit the scope of your work or the objective. So if you just go try to tell the reviewer how you know so much, you may just fall into a trap. So it is good that you are smart at responding to such questions. I quickly told him, I'm sorry, I synthesized my samples at 800 degrees and not 1000 degrees. Anyway, I'll consider this in my subsequent experimental work. Maybe I'll try the 1000 degrees when I'm preparing my samples, the next batch of samples. But for this, the objective or the scope of the work does not enter the 1000 degrees asking. But if you go answering such a question for what you have not done, then you will enter in trouble. Sometimes a reviewer asked me to include some references. He even listed them in the reviewer's comment. When I look at the references, I discovered that the references were not really close to my work. But, you know, you have to be obedient to the reviewer for you to be accepted. Because the reviewer can decide and say blah, 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 and have the recommend revision of a paper. So it is good to respond, to be respectful, and to be obedient, to follow the instruction also. But if you see that what you are asked to do is not really close to your work, then it's better you tell the reviewer, this is not possible, the following references are not closely related. But try to look for where the suggested references from the reviewer can enter. It's very, very important. If you find a place they can enter, put them there. There was a time my friend, his work was rejected. No, a particular reviewer refused to continue with the review process and asked the editor that he's out of it. Why? The author refused to obey the instruction of the reviewer. The reviewer asked him to do some certain things. So this student was stubborn. This author was stubborn not to obey the reviewer, thinking that no, what the reviewer said is not in line with his work. So the reviewer now said, okay, he cannot continue with this since the author knows more than him and cannot take instructions. So sometimes it's better to obey. But if you cannot obey, then don't. Example, you have been asked to include a reference that does not even relate to your work. Then it is better you reject it because the reviewer might want to test whether the references you cited in your work are closely related to your work. So you have to be very, very careful about that also. Now, it is good that you include the references in the reviewer's comment document, in the response document. You know, if you provide a response to a particular question or comment, if you back it up with references, it consolidates your point more for the reviewer to accept your manuscript. Some students feel in the response document you don't need to include references, but it is important you supply references. Sometimes a student might be asked to repeat a particular measurement. An author may be asked to repeat a particular measurement. Now, if you cannot do that, don't be discouraged. There was a student who told me, he was asked to do a particular measurement that he cannot be able to do. He will not revise the manuscript. I said, no, you have to revise the manuscript. State your reasons why. So no matter the comment is, don't decide to withdraw your manuscript and just keep it. Look for a smart way to respond. Now, if you're asked to do a particular measurement that you cannot do, maybe you don't have the facility in your laboratory, it is better to explain to the reviewer, appreciate him or her, and then state the reason why you cannot do it. And maybe there is no enough form for you to do the measurement elsewhere. Anyway, so reviewers will tell you, why do you embark on a work that you don't have funding? A reviewer asked me such a question before. Why do you embark on a project that don't have adequate funding to do such measurement? You know, in material science, doing HPS is very important. When you have it, Q1 journals will accept your paper quickly. So sometimes you're asked to do such a measurement or to repeat a particular measurement you have done. Sometimes the measurement they want you to include, you don't have the money to do it, you don't have the facility in the lab to do it. It's better you state it to the reviewer. Now, when I responded to such a question before, the reviewer now asked such a question, that why do you embark on such a project? Then, it is better you now respond to this question, then cite other references where authors have reported a similar work, a similar study, but omitted such measurement the reviewer wants you to include. Now, you can go further to say, no manuscript or no paper always have everything in it. It is a little contribution to knowledge from all authors that extend the literature on a particular field or a particular material. You know, by the time you're able to convince the reviewer very well, your paper can be accepted. So you have to be smart responding to reviewers also. But remember to back up your explanation with references to convince the reviewer the more. I think, let me stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jubu, for your sharing. I mean myself, even though as my because I'm a supervisor myself. I think I've learned a lot as well from your sharing. So any question from the others? I think it's very inspiring. Any question? You can just unmute yourself and then ask a question, or you can also type in the chat box. If you want to remain anonymous, you can also send the question privately. Dr. Jubu, I just want to ask, how would you actually, okay, you submitted your thesis this year or last year?
I submitted last year, November 16th.
Last year, November. So your Viva is early this year?
Yes, early February.
Okay. So it's still, so you've gone through like the pandemic COVID-19 for a while, right? So when the COVID hits on March, have you actually done with the work?
Yes, when the COVID, I was done with the work 2 weeks before the COVID hit.
Ah, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Okay. So you are not affected by at least like the closure of the lab, so you can just focus on the writing, right? So you have
Yes,
published,
I was affected.
yeah, so you have published 12 papers. Are
Yeah.
all of them are I mean like coming from your results from your PhD?
Yes, all from my PhD related work.
I see. So I just want to know, because you are able to, like, from one project, but you are able to publish up to 12. What about the contents of each of the paper? Because I didn't go through your paper yet. I mean, like, how much is the portion? How do you decide? Okay, this one can actually goes to one paper, and then because it's good that from one project you can even produce up to 12 papers. Is there any review paper out of that 12, or everything is actually coming from your I mean like data collection?
Yes, I have no review paper at all come from data collection. Now, let me
Maybe you can, yeah, maybe you can share with them, like how would you decide how much portion of work that you want to write for one paper?
Okay.
Maybe you want to share
Now,
that, yeah.
yes, from your research work to publish many papers, I didn't mention this during my discussion because I'll be mentioning some things as questions are coming. Now, you don't need to just limit the scope of your work to be too small to fit the objective of your thesis if you want to have many papers. Like for me, I have studied many parameters. So at the end, only few are included in my thesis. So you need to enlarge the scope of your work. Yes, you must not target only the objective of your thesis, but you're working on the same material. You know, in a material science, there are many ways you can go wide about a particular material that you are researching on. And then at the end, you pick few and report your thesis. Since the thesis will be too bulky, if I say I will include everything to my thesis, it will be too big. So I only selected a few parameters I studied, which were included in my proposal. So to have many publications from one thesis, from one study for your thesis, you need to enlarge the scope of your work. That means you have to work hard. That is why I say working hard is important for you to attain research productivity. And then by the time you have many data, you can partition them, and publish. Maybe you are studying temperature effect, you are studying time effect, you are studying flow gas effect, you are studying, such parameters as much as you can develop from your work. Thank you.
Okay, so basically you did a lot of like experiments and you collect a lot of data. So that's why I was able to publish that much paper, right, for your
Yes.
research. And I just want to talk about your personal, like how do you manage your time? Like even writing some student may take like months to even produce one or even like to draft one paper. And then on top of that, you still have to go to lab. I'm like doing lab work and also maybe do anything else. So like how do you work? Do you have a break in between? I think time management also is very important to write that much. And then how did you maybe keep motivated throughout the time to even like writing that much and also keep on working? Yeah. So maybe you want to share your insights or yeah.
Okay, yeah, as we said earlier, publishing productively requires hard work and decision. If you have made a decision, then you have the determination. My managing of my time is throughout my stay, sometimes I'm running the process, maybe for 2 hours. So within the 2 hours, I'm already on my computer writing or researching. So I'm sharing the time, but I make sure my alarm clock is on. And then from maybe 20, because you don't leave an experiment running for 2 hours without going there. You must be visiting from time to time. So maybe I'll set my alarm 20 minutes intervals until the 2 hours of the process is done. So I visit. When I come back, I am doing something. Maybe I'm processing my data, analyzing my work, writing a discussion, surfing the net, and all that. Now, reading many papers to write a particular manuscript is not easy, it's time consuming. So you need to have a smart way of doing it. What I did is that immediately I registered for my PhD and I've identified my research topic. I bought an 80-leaf notebook. I partitioned it section by section. Okay, my work was on synthesis and characterization of gallium mosaic nanostructures for photoelectrochemical water splitting, which means I need to study the structural parameters of gallium mosaic, the morphology, the composition, the electrical, the water splitting, using chemical vapor deposition. So I partitioned the book. Maybe the first 20 leaves was for electric structural parameters. The second batch, the second section, morphology, I section it. If I'm reading the internet, research work, published papers related to gallium mosaic, and I come across a particular point in the manuscript, in the literature, where I see an important point that might be useful to me tomorrow, I write it down under the section, under the partition for structural analysis. And then I put the name of the author there and the year. Only the first author, the surname and the initial, and then the year. If I'm reading about the water splitting aspect of a gallium mosaic in a literature, and I see an important point that will be useful tomorrow, I go to the section in my notebook, in my jotter, for water splitting, I jot it down. Maybe this performance was this. Maybe he used this electrolyte in the cell. I jot it down and write the name of the author on that point. This is not a note, it's only point, so that when you're not writing manuscript, you don't need to go reading all papers again. No. When you come to a particular point that you need to cite a literature, I now go to my jotter. I see where I jotted something close related to what I'm doing. Then I refer to that point and then open the journal. Now, in your file, while you are downloading your manuscript, I save each manuscript I downloaded with the name of the first author and the year, so that if I want to refer back to that manuscript, I'll just open the folder and type the name of the author, and then that paper comes out. So by the time you're able to keep these sources easy to track, then writing manuscript is easy. So I think I can only use 2 weeks to write a manuscript because I already put all points I need. Maybe I'm working on band gap, and then my work has given me a band gap of, let's say, 4.7 to 4.9. I want to cite a literature to support it. Then already in my jotter, under optical properties, I had already read some papers and put the various gambas they got from their work, and then I have put the names of the author in the jota. So when I now want to support my data here with explanation, I'll quickly open my jota and go to the section for optical properties. Who got this range of band gap? Maybe it is YAM FK. And I'll go to the file where I downloaded the manuscript and open that manuscript, that article. Then I read briefly there, see the explanation, and then know how I will now support my finding. That is how I was able to manage it. But if you don't have such a shortcut, each time you're writing a paper, I need to read other papers over and over and over. It will delay you a lot, and it will become very burdensome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very true actually. I would say that management is also very important when you are working. That's when you say that work smart, right? Not just like do the hard working, but also you have to be very smart in working as well. Okay, there is actually one question. So what is the period after registration as a PhD that you should graduate within to consider as DOT in USM? Maybe you want to answer that? Do you know that? Or I should actually answer this. What is the period after registration? Yeah. I think it's within 36 weeks from the first manuscript, from the day of registration until you have submitted your final copy. If I'm not mistaken, it's within 36 weeks. Because I have 2 of my students also graduate on time. Yeah, it's within that time frame. Because now, in order for you to graduate as well, graduate on time, it will be advisable that after 2 years of your candidature, then you start already submitting notice of submission, notice for thesis submission. So within 2 years of candidature. So like Dr. Jubu said, that if you spend too much time like doing literature without doing any work, so you would actually most of the time waste, like at least 6 months doing just literature. And then you have another like maybe 1 year to just complete your work and another 6 months for the thesis writing. So in order for you to submit your thesis early, so you have to actually plan ahead. And normally the students actually are able to graduate on time. They already send the notice of submission 2 years after the candidature. Because after you submit the notice, you have to submit your thesis like within 3 months. So and then you have to wait for another 2 to 3 months for the viva. So by the years, like 3 years, then you finish everything. Hopefully, yeah, your viva and also send your final submission. Okay. I don't think we have any question from the others. But honestly, your sharing is very inspiring. It is really good if I can have like a student like you as well, who knows how to manage time properly. Yeah. Any other question, Dr. Yam? You want to say something? Maybe you want to share something as well. So based on what Dr. Jubu has been sharing, also we must have to improve a lot in terms of supervision. I also sometimes always delayed when the students submit to me the drafting paper, because being a program chairman, there is a lot of work to do. So I also sometimes delayed, return back all the drafting sent by my student. Dr. Yam, are you there? Yeah, you want to say something? Maybe share something.
Jubu is a very hardworking student, and also, of course, a very smart also. But basically, I think, let's say you want to graduate on time, not only you have to demonstrate your positive attitude. This is one of the very important factor also. So far, Dr. Jubu, I think so far I think, as I mentioned just now, not only hardworking needed, of course, he has to do many other things also, right? He has to take initiative to read a lot of papers, right? To come up with his own idea to design the experiment, right? So in fact, Jubu, I think he's very independent. I no need to guide him guide him so much. Like most of it, he took his initiative to complete and do it by himself. Right. So basically, I think I'm very lucky also to have Jubu as my PhD student. Right.
That's it, Dr. Yang.
That's all from me. My comment about my former student, Dr. Jubu. Right. So so far I produced, I think around how many PhD students are? I think close to 10 PhD students are so far. So Jubu is considered as the most productive students in terms of publications, right? So as mentioned, he has published how many papers? 12, right?
12, yes.
12 paper. I think 2 conference paper. If you want to mention that, 2 conference
No,
paper,
only
right?
one.
1 or 2?
Only one.
Uh,
Only one.
Only one. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then I think among these 12 papers, how many is Q1? How many Q2? Most of them, I think Q1 and Q2 lah. Only two papers are Q3, right? So majorities are Q1 and Q2 papers. So considered as a high impact journal papers. So in fact, I'm very happy with the performance of Jubu. So very lucky also to have Jubu as my PhD students. Right.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yang. I think there is no more question from my box. I believe that you have inspired them a lot as well. Because to me, I believe that for PhD work, it's not like I mean, like you're doing your because you don't have an exam, you don't have a timeline for it. So you are the one who's actually take charge of it. So if you are really determined and want to do the work well, so definitely, inshallah, with all the efforts that you have put in, you will be able to see the output out of it. So I would say that you are the one who's been I mean, like living up to it. Okay, if there is no question, I think that's it for today. We are going to have another session next month, inshallah, by Mr. Habash. So something related to computational as well. Supervised by Dr. Mahadi and co-supervised by Dr. Yoon. Dr. Jubu, do you have any last words that you want to say to them before we end the session?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you all for attending. We share together. I want to appreciate USM so much. It was a nice time in USM. Now time in Nigeria is 9 a.m. in the morning. Long distance away, 7 hours difference. It was nice time staying in USM, and I wish to come back. I'm missing USM already.
Yes, please come back.
So
the PhD students,
next
it's
year,
not easy
I
during
think
this
our
COVID
school
period.
will have this postdoctoral vacancy. Probably I think you can apply also.
Okay. Thank you. So during this COVID, it can be change quickly what needs to be changed, respect your supervisor, take instruction, and be smart about your work. I was lucky not to be affected by the COVID, but you being in it, you can still do that if you take the decision. And I want to appreciate my supervisor. He was so encouraging and motivating to me. When I first came, I knew almost nothing. At the beginning, it was like I will not be able to meet up. He was patient with me, gave me the necessary support. I said, thank you, Dr. Yang. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So see you again.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jubu. I hope that with your short stay in Malaysia, because you graduated on time and already went back to Nigeria, hopefully that you have a chance also to visit, I mean, like all the other places in Malaysia, because you have been so hardworking and then into your work. Hopefully that you still, I mean, like spend some of your time, I mean, enjoying your life at Malaysia. Okay, that's all, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Jubu. Thank you, Dr. Yam, for liaising together with Dr. Jubu and making this session successful. Okay, I see you again next month, inshallah. So if any of you attendants here willing to maybe share anything, maybe with others, what I really hope from this session is just like us encouraging each other. That's all. It doesn't have to be like how do I say? It doesn't have to be something that big. Anything that you feel like maybe can be shared with each other as part of like inspiring with each other, encouraging with each other, especially during this time. So you can just contact me. You can just email me. I believe that in the post I've given my email, so you can just contact me and then give your details so I can arrange a session together. So because I hope that we can have this session every month, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.
Dr. Jubu, you may want to read the chat box. There is a thank you wishes to you.